Morning. Welcome to the 11 a.m. Monday morning marketing webcast. I am your host, Chris Bernard. I hope you're doing well and your weekend was dandy. I am in my video garb today for a video shoot. We want to minimize light when doing video photographic stuff, especially indoors. As you move around, you don't want shadows being casted on things and whatnot. So yes, I am fully in black. No one has passed away. In light of that. So just to explain it for you. Anyway, good morning. Thanks for joining me. Today's topic, there is so much going on in terms of search today. It is hard to keep on top of it, even if you're in it every single day. It just keeps on changing. And you can follow the blog news, let's see, I have Google's ai.googleblog.com up to tell me all about the greatest and latest artificial intelligence stuff. I am going to a seminar in Cleveland next week, conference, the Content Marketing World, which should be very, very exciting. If you are going to be there, give me a buzz. Look me up. Maybe we can get together. Certainly love to meet people face to face. As digital is very cool. It's always fun to be able to exchange ideas with like-minded individuals. So without further ado, today's topic is the latest on Google search rankings, according to your mom. Actually, it's mom. And we'll go over what that means in just a minute, but we'll try to disseminate some of this for you just so you have an idea. Google search matters a lot to a lot of businesses. That's probably not a big surprise to you, which is why you're watching this podcast or this video blog. Anyway, so give you kind of a background in terms of search, right? As search people, we used to look at which keywords people were trying to type into Google. And then we would go ahead and we'd optimize content around those things. And some of us were, not me, and it's certainly not because I'm wearing black today. Black hat SEO is where people would actually artificially know what the rules were in terms of search and then go ahead and basically, kind of build stuff in to pages just to get them visibility into Google and Yahoo and all of that. So one of the best examples was like mortgage, right? If you were not doing mortgages or anything of that nature, but it was a very high traffic value term that was general to a lot of people, you would just simply load your page up, put it in white text or whatever it is. It would fool the spiders and you'd show up in searches for things that were completely unrelated to what you do. In this case, it would have been mortgage, right? So Google's always been, and Yahoo too, and Bing, right, have always been trying to show better and better content, right, algorithmically and even manually in terms of reviews. So they've been constantly doing this. Well, those keywords, if you're doing SEO right, you would have been testing your keywords. You would know which keywords have the greatest potential in your business. And then you would actually write content and copy for that specific blog or page or whatever it is so that you show up, right? Because you've done certain things that allow that to take place and those rankings to occur. Make sense? Good. Well, 2019 changed things. And I can't remember what, it was BERT. It was either B-E-R-T or I forget which one it is. I think it's B-E-R-T. So B-E-R-T, BERT. Basically, that evolution in search in 2019, it was kind of announced in November of 2018, so late 2018, 2019, it was released, where basically instead of it basically killed off the exact match for specific key terms, right? So exact match are like everything exactly correct. It's nothing in front of it, nothing behind the keyword, nothing in the middle. It's exactly the keyword I'm targeting. So red golf shoes, right? So that's the entire word I'm going after. I'm going to create content that specifically targets that exact match key phrase, and I'm going to optimize for it. Well, in 2019, that kind of went away. Google started to look at pages differently. I started to go with maybe keyword concepts. I use that word concept because whether or not we use the word keyword or keyword phrase, it doesn't matter because our brains pick topics. Okay, our refrigerator went out last week. Actually, it really didn't go out. It just had a mild burp. And the refrigerator is like 12, 13 years old. So it was time, right? But it had some issues. So with the water filter and stuff like that, it was pouring out water from it. But anyway, I had a keyword concept in mind, right? Refrigerators, best quality refrigerators, best manufacturers for refrigerators. I went to Consumer Reports and did my research there, did some queries, right? So all of those focused around a concept. Some of those were like refrigerator repair records, manufacturers of refrigerators. You see the themes are kind of developing. The keywords themselves, there could be 5, 6, 8 different keyword derivations, right, associated with that specific keyword concept. So Google's BERT went after that kind of thing, right, to get that concept done. So MUM, this new one, which let's see if I can get it right this time. Multitask Unified Model. There's your MUM, Google's MUM. Was just released. They say just released in 2021. I think it's actually been tested, just like a lot of things Google. It's tested in various areas well before it's actually kind of packaged and branded. So we're pulling a bunch of things together. The goal of MUM was to seek to deliver search results that overcame language and format barriers to deliver an improved search experience. So what does that kind of mean? The translation there for you is this: providing more of what you want without having to do multiple searches on a topic, okay? The best example I can think of, and I have a different example in here. So if you want to travel, like, we'll go with this one first. So if you want to travel like San Francisco, right? Let's say 2 weeks from now, okay? When you type that in, when you actually go look at airline prices, that'll be a signal, right, that you're wanting to go, because it knows, Google knows, you know, where you're at, knows where you live, right, know what you do. When you're doing that search query for travel to like San Francisco, there's a whole bunch of other things that signal could entice you into, right? So things like, you know, vaccination status, right? Do I need to be able to make sure that I got that, right? In order for me to travel there. There's things like, I don't know, hotels that you may want to stay at, rental cars, but even like shows. Think about like the shows. You're going to be there for 3 days. There might be advertisers out there, or Google just being helpful, bringing shows, right? Just regular thematic shows going on, or, you know, the weather, right? Even crime statistics. Some of us are on like I'm in Florida. We don't really, you know, we just see the news stories in California where we think the entire state's going to be falling into the water real soon, and that everyone's got a, you know, a drug needle in their arm when you walk down through San Francisco. So the fact is, I may want to know about that, right? So what Google can do is pull that information together, because those are all signals that, instead of me doing multiple search queries, like in this case for even like hotels or rental cars and all that, can bring the package together, right? So that's the concept. Realistically, you have probably seen this, and I'll give you an example. And I don't know if it actually fits into this, but the concept is there. So if you've done a search, in like Google, can you see me? I'm sure you can. Hopefully you can see me. So you've done a search like in Google, you do your Google search, right? You get your Google search box, okay? And it gives you those results. You may find, and usually it was near the top. Usually it was like that one. Like this one right here. Especially if it was like a how-to or something like that. You would see like these little searches, then you'd see the other YouTube stuff going on. So this was Google search, yet a YouTube video would show up in kind of big fashion here. And it was it would, let's say this movie was 3 minutes and 30 seconds long, or this specific how-to video, right? When you click that stinker, it would actually take you to not the front of the video, but it would take you literally to the area right where it needed to be. So if that was like a minute and, you know, 25 seconds in, it would literally start playing there. You would see the search bar. I mean, the play bar actually be that far. So Google is actually indexing that YouTube content, and your search, even though you did it on Google, you know, Google search engine, right? It was pulling that YouTube content in and the specific area of that video. So it's going across video, it's going across images, it's going across podcasts. It's logging all of that information into, it's really called T5 actually. It's called text-to-text transform. But the concept there is it's taking all of that information. It's like basically categorizing and archiving it. So when you do that search, it knows which piece of content it needs to pull, regardless of which specific siloed vertical you go ahead and use. So that is a huge difference. But Google's been doing that a long time. at least in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of us who are in agencies or just long time in search, we've lived off of this model because we didn't know, we didn't know exactly which signals or which methods or media Google was wanting to pull. So in all honesty, yes, Google search is one thing. So search engines are one thing, right? But what about YouTube, right? What about Facebook? What about TikTok, right? Let's say they amp up on Yelp and these directory sites, right? All of these things, if I started with the keyword concept in place, it didn't matter which specific method. Now I could optimize depending on which distribution tool was being accessed, but it didn't matter which, whether it was YouTube or not, it didn't matter which signal Google started to amp up on as it related to search. I was everywhere, right? So we've been as agencies have been taking this concept for a while. It seems that the technology is now getting caught up in like these big chunks, right? It always has been. So how does it affect you? That AI, that artificial intelligence algorithm is getting smarter, right? And it's going after the intent of that user. So that search box traffic, you do images, all of those things, you're giving Google that keyword concept, and it's going to do a better job using AI, big technology, right? Machine learning, all of this data, where you're at, temperatures outside, your driving patterns, all that stuff. It's going to meld those into a more comprehensive set of search results. Okay? So pretty cool. And again, we talked about this, right? Images, video, podcast, all related to a specific intent item. And don't get me wrong, this is not a one-way street. This goes back the other way, right? So Facebook, Yelp, all that information, Google knows whether it's coming in or going out. And it knows that intent no matter what. So you can see how this is a real game changer, guys, into big picture thinking, right? So how can you apply this, right? So a couple things. Speaking of big picture, who, what, when, why, where, and how. Now, that where and how are now broadening. That's really the big concept here, guys. So where the where is basically when they ask for it. And the how pretty much is everywhere. Everywhere digitally. Okay? Everywhere on your phone, right? Everywhere. Okay? So those two bits and pieces of that puzzle, who, what, when, where, why, and how, really change up with this broadening scope. So how do you do this? You basically start, I know it's a shocker now. I love the big markers, but you really got to put some pizzazz behind it to get it off. So, where do we start? We start with the customer. In fact, specifically the target customer. Not target as in the brand with the little red, bullet, whatever that is. Target. We start with the customer. We think about her or him. And that might be in a big company. That's a specific position, or might be multiple people, okay? But either way, we start with that target market. The second thing we're going to end up doing is we're going to talk about their pain points, right? Their pain points. Why does this matter? Because this is what you fix. Your products or services, right? You need to zero in on their specific pain points, and the ones that matter most to your business, by the way. Third one, identify hurdles. So I'm just going to write hurdles. Look, there's apprehensions he or she is going to have with your products or service. Understand what they are, and then build those right on the front end. Okay? Real simple. The fourth thing, unique value proposition, okay? Knowing what makes you different. You're going to have to probably do a competitive analysis and find a third party to do this. Somebody who just went through this process of selecting you, right, as your product or service. right? So they've made that phone call. They've just become a customer. Call them up. Say, basically, why did you choose us? Now, you may have predefined, you may be right, by the way, predefined explanations or thoughts as to why that is the case, but there's no guarantee there. Ask them and confirm it, right? Let them tell you these open-ended questions. Why did you choose us? Who are the other companies you were thinking about? Okay. What allowed you to make that decision that we were the best company for you? Okay. That's 4. 5, and we kind of touched on it before, right? It's align the pain points. So pain points with your products or services, right? So their pain points need to align with what you do. I know it sounds, look, these are not hard steps, and it's not meant to sound insulting, but there are so many times, 95% of the times, we get so involved in our business, we forget to take that bigger picture, view on things, right? We're caught up managing a whole bunch of things at this, kind of this micro level, right? To go ahead and fix problems, but rarely we have the opportunity to kind of step back with the frequency we need to. And I think, to be honest with you, we always need to be looking through that lens, especially as upper level management. Okay. Let's see, guys, once you do this, it's now time to start building content. And this is where the real work begins. Okay. It used to be, you guys may be working with an SEO company. You guys may be working with a PPC company. You guys may be working with a social media company. Guys, those initiatives need to get aligned. Okay. And I'm not talking just like flight schedules. Okay. I am talking about a big picture understanding of how they fit together in terms of actual conversions. I talked to a client, actually they're a prospect, hopefully going to become a client, last week. And this poor guy, he runs a mortgage lending firm, and he has been screwed so many times by previous agencies, and with doing the website and organic search and paid media. And I said, "Is right? I understand our unique value proposition." I said, "So with these other companies, did they ever talk about like tracking the lead all the way through, like from the start to the finish? Impressions are great, clicks are great, time on site, those are all really good signals. Those are all good things. Even lead form submissions can be considered a soft goal. But if it doesn't drop in the bucket, it's really hard to continue to justify spending money on it." So simple things like just getting back to the basics and covering this stuff where, look, you build it and you keep that concept in mind. So that piece of content that you built out, right, is awesome because you identified your target customer, you identified the pain points he or she has, you identified the hurdles, you understood your unique value proposition, you aligned your product, their pain points with your product or service. You've done this. Okay. Now you're ready to go build that page, and we'll call it a landing page. I don't care if it's a normal page on your website or not. It is a landing page. Every page, every piece of content should have a purpose and a goal to move the customer through that funnel somehow. Or sports sales, there's different goals, but each one is a landing page. And the reason, if we think about it in terms of that being a landing page, here's the deal. You're considering the guest to get to that page. And that landing page has a goal to either get something done here or to move it along. That's why I love the transition in clients' minds from web pages to landing pages. Because again, it allows them to think in terms of this target customer and where mentally they're at, and moving when they hit that page and then moving them along to an actual conversion. It's a beautiful, insightful transition in their heads. So you build out that page, right? You got some great content going on. You have a video, right, for YouTube that you've optimized, right? You have a call to action. Okay. Now it's time to use all the tools necessary. This is SEO'd, right? To rank organically. You've got now your distribution tools. So I've got this, and I would suggest too, a little tidbit for you. I would use, so this page is built out. I would actually send PPC traffic to it for a little bit to help Google recognize it. I don't care what they say. It will help them find that organically. They lie to you. Shocker. Okay. But also, in addition to while the SEO builds, you can learn a lot. You can learn specific derivations of keywords that are good. So where I got my top 2 or 3 keywords, I can then go ahead and optimize it. Plus, I can then optimize this other stuff, right? I can not only optimize on this front part, which is how they came in, but I can also optimize towards the conversion. So maybe there's content and adjustments in here that I need to go ahead and do because I'm not converting the way I want to. So I've got that now. I feel comfortable now in phase 1 and phase 2, where I've figured that stuff out really nicely. Now I'm ready to go ahead and run this as a normal program for paid search. In addition to that, with my other paid media, right? So Facebook, YouTube ads, right? All that stuff. Does that make sense? So we're going to do the work. After we work through this process, we actually go ahead and start the work. So next week, we'll be discussing, I'm going to walk you through what we call pregame and game time. So game time is actually doing the work. A lot of this falls into pregame, which is kind of like the research and the planning, although research is not really part of this at this point. I'll walk you through the very specific steps that we use in pregame so that when we get to game time, those tools in the toolbox, right, all function a lot better. So thanks for joining me this week. I hope that was helpful for you. Comments are welcome. Things right, things wrong, I may have missed, things you want to add, fantastic. Love to learn just like you guys do to expand my knowledge base. But we look forward to seeing you next week. Please go ahead and share and like this and have a great, great performing week. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now.